Hello everyone. We'll be talking about the economy of China as a project under Dr. Chitrakalpa Sen. China, with the world's largest population, is the second largest economy in the world and the largest in terms of purchasing power. So we'll be talking about various macroeconomic factors in China such as GDP, FDI, inflation, lending interest rates and exchange rates. GDP is the total market value of all the goods and services produced in a country during a specific time period. China has witnessed explosive growth rate in the last some 30 years or so, but it has slowly started declining since 2013. Now the reasons for this explosive growth rate was the government spending that China was inducing in the economy. China owned three strategically energy companies, Sinopec, PetroChina, CNOOC, which were the reasons for this massive government spending. The People's Bank of China also controlled the exchange rates, the yuan to dollar rate, so that they are able to control the prices of their goods in the foreign countries such as the United States, so that their products are cheaper in the foreign markets. Since 2013, China saw a decline in the GDP. Now the reasons were some of the government policies that they implemented and the conditions that were prevalent there. In the 13th five-year plan, green development was a major part of their policies. Now under green development, they wanted to bring down the pollution levels to about 45% of the levels recorded in 2005. Due to this, a lot of steel industries, which are a major part of their economy, were asked to curb down on their productions for specific time periods. They had kept their interest rates low to induce government spending. Now this resulted in credit growth. Credit growth happens when percentage change in credit is more than the percentage change in deposits. So this resulted in a deficit. Credit to GDP ratio was 25% higher than acceptable in the long run. This made China resort to deleveraging. Deleveraging is when a firm starts selling off assets to pay off its debts to improve the debt ratio, debt equity ratio. But deleveraging comes at a cost of slower GDP growth rate. This is because the investors are not confident enough to invest in the firms. The reduction in GDP was also due to the reason that their traditional growth engines such as manufacturing and construction were decreasing because manufacturing had reached to its saturation point. Going onwards from 2017, their focus is on services rather than manufacturing. For that reason, we see that the GDP of China is increasing again. In 2016, from 6.7, it has increased to 6.8 in 2017, and even in the first quarter of 2018, it has registered a growth of 6.8%. So going forward, China is focusing more on technologies, services. While all of this came at the expense of great credit growth and huge debts, it helped them to reduce poverty in the country. It helped them to bring poorer sections to the upper strata of the society. So there were some advantages to it as well. Now we'll talk further about various other macroeconomic factors and how they have influenced China.
Talking about the China's export, in 2008, it took two great hits. One was the financial crisis of 2008, and second one was the China's main competitive advantage was that it was producing at a low cost, right? So in order to increase the exports, overall exports, what Chinese government did, it went for the expansionary monetary policy, which led to lower interest rates. And because of that, there was more amount was available in the market to lend at a lower interest rate. What that helped in? That helped in increase in production inside the country. So the goods were available at even more cheaper rate at the time of recession. So the exports increased, and that's how Chinese economy got out from the 2008 financial crisis in terms of exports. Okay, so after the financial crisis of 2008, Chinese government decided to go for monetary expansionary policy. Because of that, the money supply in the market increased, and that led to lower rate of interest. So which induced more money in the market, and there was more money available at cheaper interest rates to the investors inside the China, so that the government expenditure and the consumers expenditure can be increased. Talking about recent trends in Chinese export, in April 2018, the exports increased by 12.9%, recovering from the 2.6% decline of the previous month. This increase was way more than the market forecast, which was 6.3%. Chinese exports slowed down in 2017 because of the weaker global demand. But now the export trend is on the rise because the global demand is more stronger. Also, before, China was famous for producing low cost products, or we can say China used to produce in bulk. But now, after 2014 and 15, China is more concerned about their quality of the product. Also, they are concerned about their environment and as an economy overall in the longer run. So now the Chinese exports after 2017 is on a rise.
So I'll be talking about the lending interest rates in China from the year 2007 to 2018, that is the last 10 years. Lending interest rate is usually the bank rate that meets the short and the medium term financial needs of the private sector. The Public Bank of China usually sets the finance lending rates for all the financial institutes in China, and we know for a fact that GDP affects the interest rates, and the interest rates are affected by the GDP. Further, we will see in the figure how the lending interest rates have varied in China in the last 10 years. So, here we see how the lending rate values have changed over the years from 2007 to 2018. We see that in 2007 the lending rate interest were considerably high, that was 7.47, and immediately after that they have reduced from 2008 to 2010, wherein after in 2011 it was increased. From 2011 they have still again gone down and have increased continuously till 2018. Now we will see why that happened. As the global economy recovered, the inflation in different parts of the world began to rise in the second half of 2010. This was because the prices of commodities were rising, and the labor costs and the resource prices were also increasing. This increased the inflation pressure on China after the mid of 2011. To combat this inflation, the Public Bank of China changed its monetary policy goals, and it was made more prudent. Hence, the lending interest rates were increased to combat this inflation, since the whole dealing with the crisis situation was done. So, I will be talking about the foreign direct investments in Chinese economy. Foreign direct investments as defined by the Chinese economy are the establishment of foreign trades, corporate exploration, and the development of the petroleum resources. FDI works as a chain in integrating the developing countries into the global countries. The foreign direct investment plays an important role in industrialization, modernization, and also the economy adopting the technology. Many of the studies say that there is a positive relationship between the FBI and the Chinese economy. Okay, and even after the financial crisis in 20th century, the economy of China kept rising, and they reached to a certain level where the 22 million people were employed. The tax revenue also increased, and the inflow of the economy was almost doubled in the 20th century. In 2017, the average of FDI increased by the 7%.
Now let's talk about inflation in the Chinese economy. Inflation is the general increase or decrease in prices of goods in an economy. The current inflation experienced by China is about 2.5%. Now look at the inflation trend in China in past 10 years. Now we see that in the year 2008, China had a high inflation rate. That is due to the excess demand experienced by the Chinese economy. Chinese economy is mainly export dependent, and it has the domestic demand as well. So the total demand is equal to the export demand plus the domestic demand. This excess of demand leads to increase in high inflation rates in the economy. After year 2009, in 2009, we see that the economy is experiencing a negative inflation rate. Why is that? Once the economy was hit by the 2008 recession, as we saw that it is an export based economy, the second most major importer from China, US, stopped importing goods from China, which led to an excess of goods in the domestic market, which slumped the rate directly to negative in China. Now, in order to get out of that negative inflation rate, what did China do? China invested around 4 trillion yuan in its economy, which led to an overall increase in prices due to an expansionary monetary policy, which again raised the prices, and we see a positive inflation rate in the economy. This went on till year 2011. After 2011, when it maintained an expansionary policy for almost 3 years, it decided to bring down the inflation and in control of the government. For that, it tightened in monetary policy, and we again see that the rates came to an average of around 2%. So that is the total inflation scenario of the Chinese economy.
So if we talk about the Chinese economy in the short run, the GDP growth rate will increase up to 1.5 in the third quarter of 2018, and after that it will start declining. The inflation rate will start increasing, will reach the level of 2 in the third quarter of 2018, and after that also it will continue to rise. Okay, the interest rate will be constant in the second, third and fourth quarter of 2018, and after that it will start increasing to 5.5. The unemployment rate will be constant till the fourth quarter of 2018, and after that it will start increasing to a high level.
So these data points are the result of China not following its traditional way how it used to run its economy. Now it's been changing. Now they are more quality concerned. Now they are more environment friendly. And now they are trying to increase their domestic consumption so that their reliance on the exports can be reduced, and the China can become a country which is self-sufficient. Thank you.